Hello, welcome back to Happily Handmade. I'm Wendy and today I'm doing my colouring plans for October. As you can see from my pile, I have two in progress whips. I've got this one still to finish off of Serene. I'm thinking, like I said in my finished colouring video, I'm thinking I'll try and do some of her clothing this month if I can. Not sure whether I'll get it finished, but I do want to do at least her clothing, get a bit more done on it. And obviously I'm mid-progress in a colour along in Rita Berman's new Asian book that, yeah, I'm really enjoying working in this book. So definitely want to get the little third geisha done, and I'd like to get the background and the extra little bits and pieces done as well. Definitely in October, definitely. Then, as you can imagine, because I can never make any decisions, I have a massive pile of books, a good half of which I won't get to, but I have picked out some kind of autumnal, October-y, Halloween-y pages. I have this first book by Sir Richter, Bunt, and I think I've only done the one in here up to now, if I can remember somewhere, like that one. I've only done that one up to now. So I'd like to do another one in here. It might be my Halloween October book, this, as we go forward. But yeah, I quite like this one with the bats in her hair, although I don't like the thought of the bats in her hair in particular. But yeah, I think it's quite nice. You've got this quite intricate collar that's quite interesting to do, and obviously all the bats to do, and some quite nice architecture in the background that does interest me. I'd also picked out this kind of death moth page. What's it called? Lady Moth, in fact. Yeah, I thought this is a bit more my cup of tea because there's obviously quite a lot of flower work in it. I like a nice portrait anyway, and I don't mind the moths in particular, so that is also a possible for me. And then this one, obviously she has a pumpkin on her head, so that seems fairly self-explanatory. What's she called? I can never turn these pages, the paper's so thick. Pumpkin Girl. Seems appropriate again. So I thought I may do one of those. Why have I just taken all of those out? Because I'm an idiot. That's why. So used to tidying these away so I know where they are, that now I've taken them all out like an idiot as we go. Where was the back girl gone then? Because I won't remember if I don't put them back in. But yeah, that's my first Halloween-y page. Then I got, again, this was last year's Halloween special. I've no doubt there's a new one coming. And I did this page last year by Zoe Sandler that I quite enjoyed having a go at. I think it's a mixture of markers and coloured pencil. So she has a second page in here that I did quite fancy having a go at. So Cabinet of Curiosities, again by the same artist. The only thing that puts me off this a little bit is the glass objects, because I do seem to try and swerve glass objects a little bit, but you know, I love all these little bits and pieces in the cabinet, so that does quite interest me. I think that's highly likely. And I also quite like this Steam Pumpkin by Simona Candini as well. I thought it was quite cute. I don't do a huge amount of steampunk stuff, so I thought that could be quite nice as well, out of the Halloween special from last year by Colouring Heaven. Then I got this month I got 3 of these watercolour books, but this one is undoubtedly my favourite. So I did think I'd have a go in Which Colour Do You Like, the watercolour and colour pencil colouring book, and there is a little magic page in here that I thought I quite fancy having a go at. So obviously this is beautiful watercolour card, so I'm hoping I can try a bit of watercolour in it. Oh, it might be a disaster, but I thought actually I'd quite like to give it a go. So obviously they give you this little coloured version. I like magic, cute. But I thought, yeah, it's quite sweet, isn't it? I quite fancy having a go at that. So just that one page. I couldn't see anything else that was particularly magical, or well, there were magical pages, but they weren't necessarily kind of Halloween-y magical pages. They were more kind of fairy-like. So yeah, I might do that page. I quite like to have a go at that if I can summon the courage. I also got last month, although the cover's coming off and it's bugging me, the Hey Mr. Rabbit, Why Are You Running by Amy Shan. And this is a beautiful book, and there's a lot of pages I really do fancy in here, but most of them, when I was just having a nosy through, are double pages, and I do have to be realistic. I'm at work. I will have a week off towards the end of October, but I don't want to feel like my week off I've got to just sit and colour because I've got nothing done and I've got nothing finished. So realistically, I'm trying to pick kind of single pages in books like this at the moment. So this I thought was quite a sweet page. I have no understanding of what story this is about, but they seem to be up a tree having some kind of picnic and tunes, which I thought was quite sweet. Or there is obviously the picnic on the other side, which again I could do either or and not worry about having to have them matching. Or the same with this page. Whilst it's not the most exciting page in the book, I thought this could be quite sweet for an autumnal page. This one I'm not loving quite as much. It doesn't really excite me, but it's a page in the book. I like the book, so it might be a nice easy starting page. But I do like these little marionettes of Pinocchio. I thought this was quite cute. You've got the little tent that the stage is on, and obviously you've got the two little, well, Pinocchio and Pinocchio's friend. Or there's this lovely one with his big hooter on the other side with lots of birds as well. So either of those, I think I'd quite like to have a go at. There are so many lovely pages in this book though, and they are not the nicest pages in this book. There's a few that I really would like to do, but realistically, the doubles are, as you can see, there's quite a few Christmas ones I've noticed today when I was actually looking and thinking about it, but I really quite like this little rotary telephone, but because it's on this tree, basically, whatever I do here, I've got to do there, so I'm terrible at writing these things down, and I'll forget what colours I've used, so no, I cannot do it this month, because I'm not going to do a double, but those ones I may do. Hey Mr Rabbit, Why Are You Running? By Amy Shen. Then I've got this lovely Christy Vogel's, no clue, Autumn something or other, I don't know, I've no idea. If I'm really honest, most of these pages have mushrooms on. For autumn, I could have done any of these book pages because they're all very little bits of forest, lots of mushrooms, forest creatures types pages. But I've pulled out a couple that I thought in particular I found appealing. If I can find what page I've done. Flicking through. Oh, this one with the acorns I thought was quite nice and obviously quite autumnal. Sat there scoffing something, can't they, while their mouse and the frog watch on. So I thought, yeah, I might do something out of this book, and I'm currently thinking it's likely to be one of these two little characters. He looks like he's kind of wearing the acorn, maybe, but this is very autumnal, but pretty much every page has got mushrooms in it, so it kind of feels like I could just work in this for the entirety of autumn. But Christy Vogel's new book, it's lovely. This one I got a little bit earlier on when these were released in the UK. Kingdom of Curious Creatures, a fairy tale adventure book by Kanoko Agusa. And I was thinking that this lovely page, either one of these actually, because they're both kind of autumnal or more Halloween based, might be nice for October. So I think these are foxes, aren't they? Maybe. And then obviously you've got some birds and then some kind of a little bit of nature going all the way around and a little tree stump. Or you've got some cats, a cat on a witch's broom. And is it a mouse or a rat? I don't know, something along those lines. Probably a mouse, isn't it? Or a bat in the background. And lots of pumpkins. But I thought either of these might be quite nice, and there'd be a nice start into this book, that I get a kind of seasonal page from this lovely book done. I really like this owl page, but I don't think that's appropriate for October. But yeah, I thought I might try and do a page from Kingdom of Curious Creatures by Kanoko Agusa. Then equally, not so long ago, I have just got the Day of the Dead book. I've picked up 2 pages out of this one by Sarah Walsh. I really like these quite amusing skeletons that kind of look like they're terrified, but also they're quite funny looking. I don't quite know, but I quite fancy these all really glammed up in amazing bright coloured dresses. With their little scary faces and their little bird friends. Just something about them amuse me, and I kind of think it should be amusing, but it kind of is amusing. I don't know, maybe it's just me, I don't know. If I wanted something a bit simpler, I've also picked these kind of reflected skeletons out in dresses, but no shortage of skeletons, as you can imagine, in this book. There's a lot of them, but I've only picked the 2 out of Sarah Walsh's Day of the Dead. Then going off Halloween for Vintage My Room, because this is not really a seasonal book. There are a couple of pages that maybe you could describe a bit Christmassy, but in the main it's not. So Vintage My Room, illustrated by Chunzo. So I've picked a couple of pages in here. This book just makes me smile. I don't know what it is about it. Having just said I didn't want to do a double, yeah, this is a double, obviously. I probably won't do this one, but this page I really want to do. It's just so much going on though, isn't it? I kind of feel if I start this page, I'll have this and maybe one other for the entirety of October. But yeah, there's just something about them, isn't there? They're interesting, they're really busy. They kind of feel a bit kind of kitsch, 1970s feel to all the objects. So yeah, I think that's how I'm going to take this book, that I'm going to go a bit kind of 1970s, 60s wacky colours. I think that's what I'm going to do. This one I think is perhaps a more likely page. I think it's part of the lounge or something like that, because the little sofa's over there. Although this clearly is a double, because the little kittens, what's the word? Wool. I don't know why I'd lost that then. That clearly goes over the second page, and clearly whatever I do here is going to have to at least somehow carry on over there. But I think that's a fairly manageable single if I chose to do just this side or just that side. And I will just have to write down whatever I do this background wall so that those match. And I think that's not too bad to do, is it? It's not like a tree's carrying on or some, you know, major bit of the feature. So either one side of those quite appeal. I like all these little kitschy little objects. And the same with the kitchen. I think there's 2 kitchen pages that I really quite like the look of. Again, kind of feels very much like a 1960s tiles and jars and things. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. Peppers on a light shade, bless. And then the other kitchen page was this with the actual cooker section on, that I thought was really quite nice. So I might do the single of that, a single of that, or a single of one of the lounges. But I'd really like to do this, but this obviously has a lot carrying on. So I think it's probably one of the other 3 rather than this one, even though I really love this page. In Vintage My Room, that's a new book to me. Another new one this month that you might have just spotted on the channel is Wonder Worlds by Gabby Wolf. I've not picked a single page from this yet, but I think most of these kind of feel quite autumnal, or you could colour them in an autumnal vibe. So I'm thinking I may do one out of this month. Not that one. Probably one of these little houses. I think there's a really nice one that I liked when I was flipping it. This one I quite like. It kind of feels like it's got peas or something for the roof. Yeah, that I really quite like. But something out of this one, because I think that suits the season here in the UK quite nicely. Another book that I keep saying I'm going to come to and then I don't. Romantic Country, The Second Tale by Eerie. I've picked out basically the magical bit. So there's this section, chapter 4, that is the witch and the hidden secret forest. So any of these pages would be great for this month. So you've got this kind of, I think it's the witch's house that's here at the front, but I really quite like some of this. And obviously you've just got a huge bit of empty space there, so although it is a double page, it kind of feels like that's just going to be a bit of colour, isn't it? So I'm not drawing anything on it. I don't have the time this month. So that would be quite nice, but it also follows on with a few of these. Put that back in one. There's a few of these that are kind of inside the witch's house, just outside the witch's house, that again I thought would be really cracking for this month. I don't think I'm going to do that page, but I really do like this kind of Harry Potter style page as well. But this feels like a big job, doesn't it? So I think it's probably more realistic that I do that introduction page this month, although I really would like to colour this page that's got all the little magic shops on. That's just so quaint. I really like it. But if I'm being realistic, working probably a single here or this kind of page, I think, is probably the more likely of the ones that I might get to in Romantic Country by Eerie. This book I'm not even going to open, but because what's the point? I keep saying I'm going to do it. I've had it now a couple of months, still haven't done one. If I don't do one this month, I'm kind of thinking, oh, I need to pass it on to someone else, because if I'm not going to colour it in October, I'm not going to colour it, am I? But we'll see. This one I've been wanting to colour for a while. Healing colouring book, Secretly Happy, by people that I cannot pronounce, if you can read my terrible writing, by these lovely people. But it has a nice little witchy page in here that I really quite like, and it's cute. So yeah, these little witches sat in the trees collecting their apples and things, flying about. They don't seem to have broomsticks, they're special witches. But I thought this was a really little cute page, and I'd really like to start in this book because it has some lovely pages in it, but I thought this might be a quite nice start in it. So that is Healing Colouring Book, Secretly Happy. And then this I have not hauled, but I did get it last week. 50 Halloween Fairy Houses by Camelia Anjakova. I don't have a huge amount of Camelia Anjakova, but I don't have a huge amount of Halloween. I haven't bought a huge amount of Halloween. Probably not going to, because I'm not a great Halloween colour, but there's loads in here. So I'm hoping something will take my fancy this month for this month's colouring that would be appropriate for the theme. I've not picked one. I'm just thinking I'm going to work in it. Then I did a page in Witches, Wizards, Magical Spirits colouring book by Fabiana Attanasio last month, and I'm thinking there was a couple in here that I quite fancied. I thought it might be quite nice, because I'm not going to colour Halloween all month, I know I'm not. I thought it might be quite nice to do something Egyptian, really a different take on it. Or Wicked Witch of the West is in here, so I kind of feel I should do that. But this particular image is really printed into the spine quite badly. It pretty much has no C, as you can see in her title, so that does mean that part of her leg and part of her broomstick is missing, gone, never to be seen. So as much as I love this book, the binding on this book is terrible, and colouring a double when it's like that is not easy, as you know. But I'm thinking obviously it's a really appropriate page for this month. Some lovely pages in here. I'm hoping to do a bit more in Witches, Wizards, Magical Spirits colouring book. Oh, the next one I was thinking I'd also like to do a first page in. So I have Cottage Dreams, Colourful Moments by, I think it's an Ursula Schwab book, and I just picked one out of here because, yay, favourite. These mushrooms, it'll be a quick, easy colour, I think, for me, but I really quite enjoy it. A lot of this book feels kind of spring, summer, but obviously a mushroom page, I thought, well, surely that's definitely autumnal and that kind of vibe. And there's a couple of other there's a little pumpkin page and a few other pages like that, but I think mushrooms are probably a much more likely one for me. Then back in my Magical Dawn, I think there are a couple of pages in here I quite fancied. There's bottles. I've been basically swerving doing any bottles, and there's quite a few bottles in here that I quite fancied having a go at. So there are a couple, I've got bottles, feathers, those kind of things, and I've got a few of those marked. But there's also a couple of crowns in this book. I think there's two that I've marked out, and obviously here in the UK our lovely Queen has just died, and I thought I quite actually fancy doing a crown to kind of not remember the fact she's died, but just as a bit of a show of respect, really. I thought I quite fancy doing a really pretty crown to kind of represent her a little bit. So I might do a crown, if I can say it. I nearly said clown, which is clearly not the same thing at all. Or I might try and push myself to stop being a chicken about glass and try and do some of these magical bottle pages for October, because it kind of goes. Or I've been looking at this lovely kind of witchy fortune teller lady for quite a while as well. She also has winked at me quite a lot, and I kind of think, no, come on, I need to do her. Or some more bottles, or another crown. So something along those lines. I'd like to definitely do a page in this book this month if I can. This crown in particular I think is quite nice. So I'm thinking I might do one of those out of here. And then my last selection is, hopefully, if I don't knock everything flying like a clumsy idiot, something out of one of my Clara Markovas. So I'm really just thinking about kind of Halloween-y pages. So there's this lovely bat going through the pumpkin patch with him that's looking quite scared about it. That's quite cute. I do quite like that. And in my other one, if I can find the page. Oh, I just want to open. See, that wasn't the page. Break my nail on it. Oh yeah, there's this one that kind of feels a bit like Harvest Festival of things that have been made. Bit of cider, something with strawberries in. No idea what that one's in. He's having a kip on the strawberries. Something just specially for Johanna. Little eyeball juice, the drink to put together. So there's that one that's kind of Harvest Festival vibes for me. And there's also this one with the lovely bat, again with another pumpkin, another batty friend. And obviously some lovely mushrooms. But I'd like to do one, I think, out of my 2 Marklover books that I've picked out, a couple of Halloween type pages, and that is pretty much it. I'm not going to do them all. I wish I could do them all. I wish I had time to do them all. I would love to do them all. Hopefully I'll get a good selection done. Like I say, I do have a week off towards the end of the month, so hopefully I should have something to show. But it is a busy month in school, so we'll see how I go. But yeah, these are some of the books that I'm hoping to get a good chunk of things finished to show you. Let me know your thoughts, something you like, something you prefer me to have a go at. I think a few people did swerve me into doing ones rather than other ones last time from things they'd mentioned, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe they've got a point, maybe I'll do that one. It'll be a little bit different for me, because I do tend to go for safe. I think we all do, don't we? Do the thing you feel more comfortable with. So always interested to hear your opinions, see your views on it, see what your thoughts are. But whatever you're doing, enjoy your October. Happy colouring. Bye bye.